Hey guys, my name is Frank Moses. I am with You Are Not Alone. Last week's topic was depression. This week's topic is suicide. I want to start off by talking briefly about the Florida shooting. My condolences to the 17 lives that were lost and the many that are still injured, that are still fighting through that. So devastating. I have so much I want to say. I don't know the words to say it. There's so much I want to say, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Maybe I can make a difference, maybe I can't, I don't know. But the fact that I have the opportunity to come in and speak to young individuals about anything that they're going through, whether it's, I think in his case he lost his step parents and his parents. I'm not fully educated on the whole situation, but from what I know, losing, his step parents, his parents, things like that. This is why I want to be there. Maybe he was bullied, maybe low self-esteem, maybe depression. There's countless things that could probably go into this factor that led into this. It could be mental health. I don't know. And we really don't have a whole grasp on mental health. Mental health is something that's different inside of everybody. But my condolences to that family. Like I said, this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm trying to push You Are Not Alone, not only in our area, but everywhere. I will be damned if I let this happen in this community, because I feel so strongly that I can help. I can make a difference. I'm not saying I can save everybody, but I think personally I can help. And that's what I want to do, is I want to reach out to everybody to have them know that they can count on me, rely on me, to come talk to me, to show them that they're not alone no matter what they're going through. Whether it's depression, whether it's low self-esteem, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's the loss of a friend or a family member, you're not alone. We're all here. We're all in this together. And like I said, my condolences to that family. Tonight, we're going to start off with suicide. I'm going to talk briefly about my experience with suicide. Depression, bullying, these all have factors into things that cause us to think so negatively that we want to end our lives. Negative thoughts happen in my life. Like I've told you before, if you watch my videos, being bullied, low self-esteem, depression, whatever it may be, I have always had negative thoughts in my life when I was younger. When I was 15 years old, I lost one of my best friends in high school, John Brad Rudolph. He died. I remember getting the call from my friends, and I didn't know what to think. It didn't hit me at the time. I was actually here in Sandusky. At the time, I didn't live in Sandusky. I lived somewhere else, but I wasn't actually in Sandusky. I got the call. I was at Cobb's getting an ice cream shake, and it didn't register in my mind until I got home. When I got home and when I got to my bedroom, I collapsed. I dropped everything, cried. I just didn't understand any of it. The next day, my baseball coach tells me, Troy Keegan tells me that, hey, we got a baseball tournament. We're going to be leaving in a couple days. And I'm like, hey, man, that day we're burying my best friend. He says, you know what? I'm going to wait for you, and I'll pick you up after you get done. That day we buried my best friend, and he waited for me. He picked me up. I didn't talk to anybody. I just sat in my own little section. Didn't say anything. He comes up to me. He says, you're going to pitch today. I said, what? Dude, I got so much going on my mind. He said, no, you're going to pitch today. And the reason is because I have a good feeling that you're going to be able to work through this. Pretty sure I threw a no-hitter that game. Highlight of my life. But before that game, I took a knee out in center field, and I prayed. I thought about Brad, and I didn't handle things well, though. On the outside, I looked fine. On the inside, I wasn't. About a year later, I took a handful of prescription pills, and I tried to take my own life. I put a belt around my neck, and I passed out. I was texting a good friend of mine, Dustin Miller, who watches my videos. Dustin, I still love you. I was texting him. He had his girlfriend drive from where he lived all the way to Bellevue, where I was living, and he came barging in my room found me laying on the floor with the belt around my neck. Ran over, woke up my parents, called the ambulance. I came back conscious when I was in the ambulance. And maybe because of him, he saved my life. And Dustin, I thank you for that so much. There was another time that I thought about taking my own life. And I was talking to somebody, and next thing you know, there's a knock on the door, and it's the police. The superintendent of Margaret High School, his name was Ed Kurt, had caught wind of what was happening and called the police in regards to me trying to harm myself. And for that, I thank him, because in turn, that could have saved my life that night. The biggest thing that I realized throughout the craziest things that happen in our lives is that life's problems are temporary. Everything that happens in our life is a temporary situation. The only thing that's permanent that we can do is take our own lives, and that's a selfish act. And I don't mean to go at anybody by saying that's a selfish act, but it is a selfish act, because everything that we go through in life is temporary. 1 year from now, what you're going through isn't going to be as big of a deal as it is right now. And we don't see that at the time. At the time, we think it's the end of the world. We think so many different things, but in reality, it's not. It's just a temporary problem that we're going through. Something that we also need to realize is when we think about suicide, we think about ourselves. We don't think about the people that are around us that we could potentially hurt. We have our families, we have our friends, we have our loved ones. We have so many different people that we're going to hurt in the end when we go and take our own lives, that it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to hurt so many people on such a simple act. This is an emotional topic for me because, you know what I mean? Like I said, I lost my best friend. I've had a friend that almost committed suicide. He almost died as well. This is why we need to come together. People want to point the finger at others for thinking suicide, thinking that they're low, thinking that they're, I don't know what the word you want to use for it, dumb, stupid, whatever word you want to use for it. We want to point the finger at these people instead of standing beside them and telling them that it's not worth it. There's so much more to live for. Because at the time, we don't see that. We only see here and now. We don't see a future, but there's always a future. There's always something more that we're going to accomplish. Last year was probably the hardest year, and it's just something that I've been dreading to talk about. It's something that really kills me at the end of the day. So last year was probably the hardest year for me. I've been through so much in my life, and I came back to Sandusky, Ohio after I had left for about 4 years. I came back to Sandusky, and I got a job as a trainer thanks to one of my best friends who I owe everything to, and Eric Jordan. I became a trainer. I became very active in our community. And there was something that happened years ago when I lived in Florida that I never told anybody about. I didn't talk about because I was so ashamed of myself. In 2014, I got in trouble. I got into a hard spot. I wrote some bad checks. I did some dumb things, and it got me in a lot of trouble. I've never been in trouble in my adult career, so they had mercy on me. So I got put on good old probation. And I came back to Ohio. I never talked about it. I hid it. I lied about it. I lied to many people about everything. Last year, everything caught up to me. Last year, I had the most embarrassing moment of my life. I was arrested. I was put in handcuffs, and I was escorted by U.S. Marshals on an airplane back to Florida, where I left behind a job, a family, 2 boys that absolutely mean the world to me still. I lost everything because I was dishonest and because I didn't face what I should have faced years ago. Not a day didn't go by that I was incarcerated for 7 months last year that I didn't think about, like, screw this. It was hard. Very, very hard for me. It's a different ballgame down there. You're in a room full of 100 people, and people think that you're some rich, pretty white boy, and they're going to take your food. And countless times I was pulled into a shower and fought for my meals. Pulled into the bathroom, fought for my meals. The reason I say shower and bathroom is because camera's no point in there. Many fistfights just to eat, to survive. And at the end of the night, like, I'd pull my blanket over my head, and I thought, man, I wish this thing would just be tighter. I just wish everything would just go away. Let this be tighter. But you know what I did? I sat down and I wrote out everything. I wrote out countless papers while I was incarcerated about how I can make my story help others. That's why I wanted to start this program. This is something I've wanted to do for a couple of years. But when I had the time to actually sit down and do it, this is something that I wanted to do. And that's why I'm reaching out to everybody now. Because after everything that I've been through, to be able to sit here in front of you right now and tell you that life's problems are temporary is true. Life's problems were very temporary. Because next thing you know, 7 months later, I'm calling my parents and I said I'm coming home. And I get to come home on Thanksgiving Day. I rolled in here on Thanksgiving Day. Yes, just a couple months ago. I can't tell you how excited I was and how grateful I was to have my parents, who have been through hell, who struggle, but were able to bring me home and bring me to you to talk about everything, to get this point across. But I can't do it alone. I can't sit here and talk to you on Facebook alone. You have to reach out. You have to help others. We have to stand together. I had a quote I just kind of like made up the other day. It said something about it takes an act of courage to show others how to be brave. It does. It takes our courage to show others how to be brave. And that's what we have to do. We have to be brave. I've been where you've been, I've sat where you sat, and I thought what you thought. Whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it may be, I've been there. I can sit here and go on for days about my suicide topic. But the reason I'm telling you my story is so that you see that it could be related to yours. It could be a breakup. You went through a breakup, you think your world's coming to an end. It could be physical abuse. I've gotten messages about girls, guys who have been physically abused and they just didn't know where they were going to go in their lives. There's so many different things that cause us to think this way, but it's all temporary problems. I want to thank you guys for listening in. Trust me, I have way more to say, and we're going to go much deeper into suicide as more topics come along. I want to thank everybody. I hope that you like and you share this video. And like I said, together we can make a difference. Thank you.